Hello everyone, welcome to Arts and Drafts. My name is Gothic. Today I want to show you some basic techniques of sketching a cityscape using two vanishing viewpoints from a slightly elevated eye-level perspective. I'd like to create the image of a gloomy street scene in a Gotham City movie noir kind of ambience. I will try to use a combination of different building styles from around the turn of the century and also modern features. I will explain while I go along how to use these architectural elements and what to use them for. So I'm sitting at my desk now. I think I've got everything prepared so far. I've got the canvas taped to the table. I've got my triangle ready, my 0.3 pen, and I think I'm going to start with the vanishing viewpoints. I'm going to try to do as little voiceover as possible later, but I think I'll have to speed up the process a little bit, otherwise this tutorial will just take too long. Well, first you have to decide where to put the vanishing viewpoints. Make sure they're on the same level, otherwise your building will look a bit off-center, a bit wonky. It will look as if you're sort of slightly tilting your head. And then just start connecting the dots in a random fashion and just see where it takes you. That will define the composition of your picture later. It doesn't matter if you add too many lines, you can always cover them up later in the drawing or when you do the coloring of it. So we turn to the next point, and I think with a little bit of imagination you can see the street corner developing. Now we'll start sketching the building lines that are above eye level. And just like with the other ones, just try not to think too much about where to place them. I think we might need some beats in the background. I'll just turn to my left. So we've got a Digitakt sampling machine here, a Strymon Nightsky and the disaster area. Just gonna put in some, I don't know, a random pattern and hit play. And here I can add a little bit of ambience, a bit of reverb maybe, or I can use a couple of default settings here on the favorite list. And of course I can try different things here too. So I'm just gonna let this do its thing in the background. So we'll carry on with our drawing. So the next building lines, they could sort of define the limit of some high rises in the background. And now the first vertical line. Usually the vertical lines also should line up to some vanishing viewpoint, but we'll keep it simple for this drawing. By dividing that first vertical line into segments, you will define the scale of the whole painting later. So these could be 5 stories, for example. So you set the scale from there on, and everything else will be measured up to those segments. So this is really beginning to take shape. That could be the building corner and the pavement in front of it. We'll finish the building with another building line above eye level. So we've got one big volume at the moment, which doesn't really make much sense there. So we'll just start dividing that big volume into small volumes. That would be the different buildings. So I'll put one to the left and another one to the right. I think that will also be the focus of that painting. We'll have to take a lot of care with detailing a lot, because you will always look at that first. And a couple of dotted lines now for the various stories. It just makes it a lot easier with sketching up the other building volumes, because you've always got a reference that you can use if you want to define the height of other buildings in the background or the ones right next to it. One last line and we've got the ground floor. So we'll do the other side of the building now. Then we'll have our first building ready. I think it's clear which way I'm going here and how this works. I think after this I can just speed it up a little bit. Yeah, you always need to wipe that triangle once in a while because it gets quite dirty. I'm just going to add different volumes now to that corner and see where it takes me. It's just like the beginning. You don't think too much about what you're doing at that point. You have to trust sort of that randomness and coincidence to define the drawing. Usually coincidence is a much better artist than you could ever be. I think I'm going to hide that vanishing viewpoint behind a wall there on the left. And now I'm beginning to notice that the point on the right is far too close to the side of the paper. That will make it quite difficult to draw something there. You always need bridges. The more bridges, the better. In these Gotham City kind of cityscapes, you always have a lot of bridges connecting the various buildings. I'll show you now how to deal with the foreshortening of perspective. You just draw a diagonal line on a surface and that intersects with those stories with dotted lines here, and you've got the right distance between vertical structures, and then you can just add on. So this is going to be some sort of neo-Gothic buildings with a lot of vertical directions in it. Yeah, do the top level floor too. We'll go over to the next building here. I think that should be a bit higher than the one in the foreground. Maybe that could be some sort of clock tower. You always need some sort of heavy industry in the background. In these sort of movies or TV shows, you always got some sort of smoking chimney that you can see. And that could be some, like the Battersea Power Station in London, for example. A very interesting Art Deco designed kind of, I think, power station it is. So that would be the gate to that industrial estate. That's the railway bridge. I think if you've got two bridges, I think you need another one. You need a third one, maybe. So that could be, yeah, there. I'm going to carry on with my neo-Gothic structure in the foreground. First you need some buttresses with the pinnacles, finales and crockets at the top. They were used for load-bearing reasons, really, in medieval times, but they became more of a decorative item. Now some arcade arches in the ground floor. This could be sort of a double-story retail area. In the School of Chicago, those old Art and Sullivan buildings, they always had some sort of different use in the ground floors, and usually, I don't know, office structures in the ones on top. I think the top floor will be some sort of plant room, maybe, which I'm not really going to define any further. So I'll give this a bit of depth now, and some three-dimensional effects. That could be the windows with the parapets in the middle that divide the stories. So there we go. So on the top floor, there could be some sort of Art Deco channeling. These buildings are always kind of eclectic. You always have a mixture of a lot of different styles, all merged into one building. But that's what really makes it interesting. Draw the arcade there. So I'm going to carry on with my industrial estate in the background. Unfortunately, you can't really see what I'm doing here. I'm just drawing a gate and a brick wall maybe in front of it. But what you could see there is that the viewpoint is disappearing within the drawing. I think I'm going to carry on with the building next to it. That could be sort of like a Bauhaus style kind of commercial building, or maybe it's some workshops or some offices in the top floors. Very clear design, and Well, back to the Gothic building, to the stacked story. I think we'll do pretty much the same theme that we've got in the ground floor. Some pointed arches in the buttress pier and diagonal ribs to go with it. And the parapet will be, I don't know, more decorative again. Finish the windows and the artwork on top. In a Gothic church, that would be the oculus. Don't make the pattern too complicated, because you will have to copy it in a lot of windows and it would just take too long. These are just some random shapes really. And finish it off with the fascia, just a couple of lines there. And a bit of detailing and depth with some window frames. So now I can finish the bridge that I've started. I think that little one, the building between there, that could be sort of a small diner or bar or something. And they always wanted to kick him out to build some sort of high-rise in between the buildings, but they never managed. That could be the story. If the picture starts telling a story, then you know you're on the right way. So I think I might know what to do with that guideline here. This could be some sort of retro skyscraper kind of thing, with a little crown or rooftop garden on top. You can really imagine the mayor holding some sort of gala up there with all the important people of the city. Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor, for holding this beautiful gala. You're really on top of the world here. So some vertical lines to give it a bit of structure. Little do they know that down there in the sewer, there's the mob on the way to the pub to blow it up and make room for some more high-rises for the big landlord. Yeah, that'll be some lousy movie. Well, I guess if you add a little romance and, I don't know, cooking is always a good seller, it would do quite well. You could have the guy from The Bear be a chef in that restaurant, and maybe Wednesday from Wednesday as Wednesday, just without the spider webs and magic, she could sort of be the co-owner maybe. I'll probably watch that. So I just added some ventilation ducts. You always see those steaming away in the fog of the night in those kind of TV shows. I think I'll carry on with our little houses on the right. Maybe a little French balcony here, with a, I don't know, maybe a cast iron banister. It's pretty hard to detail it here because it's quite close to the side, but I'll try. Here's a little trick if you've got layers of bricks, you just hold on to one point and then just pivot around it like I'm doing here right now. I'm just going to add a little window. You'll actually be able to look into those windows and into those flat, which is actually kind of cool. Down there could be, I don't know, there could be some sort of flower shop, I guess, down there. So now I'm just adding a little bit of dust and scratches to the brick wall, just to finish it all up. I think this sketch is almost done. I'm just filling the white gaps in the painting. The more optical disturbances you build into the sketch, the more realistic it will look in the end. But since these lines are really close together on that side of the road, it's pretty much impossible to do any detailing here. So I'm just just adding odd structures in the background to give this some sort of finish. So a little building there. I'll do a little bit of detailing here. Maybe some barrels out front of that building. Could be a restaurant and delivery maybe that they haven't put inside. Some bit of pavement here and just some wear and tear on the road. Just finishing up here. Maybe a billboard. Some technical equipment just sticking out of the roof, chimneys or antennas or something. So I think you need some lanterns here. Of course they have to align to the viewpoints. So what you do is basically you just connect the top of the lantern with one of the viewpoints, and then you've got the position of the lantern on the other side of the road like this. And of course for the other direction you use the other vanishing viewpoint. You have to be a bit careful with the foreshortening of perspective that you position them correctly. And a little bit of wiring in between them. I don't know, a fuse box or something. I think one more towards the industrial estate, and we're done. Now this is a still frame of the finished sketch. I think it turned out well. It will definitely be a good base for the next step, which will be coloring it, but that's another tutorial. So please try this, it's really not complicated once you understand how to work with the vanishing viewpoints. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and hopefully you can use some of those drawing techniques and stylistic elements and ideas, and I hope to see you soon.